Right, many New Yorkers caught in the midst of this COVID crisis, they just won't be able to make that rent. So now local lawmakers putting the pressure on the governor to step in and help. One of those is State Senator Michael Gianaris. He is leading the call to cancel rent. He joins us now via Skype. So good morning to you, Senator. Thank you for joining us. The cancel rent movement is not new. You've been calling for a 90-day moratorium on rent since last month. Has anybody from the governor's office actually responded to you about this proposal? And what exactly does a cancel rent look like?
Yeah, they have, and they started out. We have an eviction moratorium in place currently, which means you can't be evicted during this 90-day period. But it allows the rent obligations to continue to mount up. And so what I'd like to say is, if someone can't afford their April's rent or now their May's rent coming up, how are they supposed to afford April, May, and June all at once when this moratorium expires in July? It's just not reasonable to expect people who have had their jobs stripped away from them because we've shut everything down to pay. And so the governor's top staff has talked to me about this. They recognize there's an issue we have to deal with. They are simultaneously trying to deal with the health crisis and now the economic crisis that's following. And hopefully we'll make some progress with it.
Okay, so you have this hashtag cancel rent movement, right? Obviously, a lot of people are struggling to pay their rent. They're at home right now watching and saying, okay, so we cancel rent for May, we canceled for June, I don't get evicted. But how does this go about moving forward? Is it a back pay kind of thing that you make in monthly installments, or are you eliminating those rents altogether for the months missed?
Well, my proposal would be to just eliminate them, and then also for landlords that are in need of that rent money to pay their own mortgages, also forgive the mortgage payments. It's an extreme situation. We're in an emergency that's relatively unprecedented in our country's history. And when we take steps like shutting down the entire economy, we can't then expect people to continue to meet their financial obligations when we've denied them their income stream.
Right.
And so the idea that you just let them pay it later is not realistic when there's no income coming in. Yes, there's some federal stimulus money. It's slow in getting to people's bank accounts. But if you can't pay now, you're not going to be in a better position to pay later. Rent in New York is already prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. To make those rent payments higher by tacking on 3 months over a longer period is not going to help.
So taking a look at this, right, obviously there are those who have lost their jobs and are unemployed, waiting for unemployment. They're trying to file for unemployment, and they're waiting on that money, right? So they are in the check column for the cancel rent. How do you decide moving forward that when you're looking at this from the broader picture on who pays rent and who doesn't? And how would anybody be able to tell if you lost your job? Because right now people at home saying, okay, well, I'm still getting paid, but he wants to cancel rent.
Yeah, well, that would be left up to the agencies that administer. We already have not only an eviction moratorium, but a mortgage forbearance program in New York State. That considers financial hardship. So the Department of Financial Services, who are the experts in this kind of thing, are developing rules to decide who qualifies for financial hardship. They can just as well decide what counts as a substantial loss of income, which would qualify people for this proposal as well.
So how many people would you think could, or actually, let me ask you this. What kind of financial impact would this have on New York City and New York State overall?
The financial impact's already here. We're just trying to put some rules around it, put some structure to it. I like to say rent is being canceled anyway because people can't pay. We had the largest delinquency of rent payments around the country in April. It was about a third of rent payers couldn't make their rent on time in April. May promises to be much worse. So the rents are not getting paid because you can't pay with money that doesn't exist and when you don't have it. So what we're trying to do is put some structure on it. So at the end of this eviction moratorium period, you don't have just a wave of thousands upon thousands of evictions, increased homelessness, foreclosures that would follow from that. What we need to do is put some structure and stability on a horrible situation so that it doesn't become worse at the back end.
So Governor Cuomo has 48 hours to issue an executive order on this, which my question is, if he doesn't go through with this and does not sign the executive order, what exactly happens?
Well, the legislature we expect to be back legislating in the next few weeks, and I'm hopeful that the governor does something. I do think he recognizes the problem. Yes, 48 hours is when the next rent payments are due, but this executive order can come at any time because this is not a problem that's going away anytime soon. So if the governor does not take action in the short term, I expect that the legislature will sometime in the month of May.
Hey, I appreciate you laying this all out for us. I think it's an ongoing conversation. Come back and explain to us once we know more about the executive order, whether it does or doesn't move forward. We'd like to have you back to continue this conversation. So thank you, all right?
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, take care. Stay safe to you. And at 8:48.